Hey, what's up? It's the TheSmithPlays here. Real quick, the Stash is part of a Movember campaign for cancer awareness and preventing cancer. If you guys want to support a good cause or just see this mustache gone, help us reach our goal of $1,000. Top link in the description. Also, thank you to Tyler, Nate, and Tarek for already donating. Anyways though, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be taking a nice nostalgic dive into Season 2 and more specifically looking at Christmas Fortnite. Honestly, I think the time around the Fortnite Christmas update was some of the best moments I ever had with Fortnite. And what I wanted to do today is look at 10 things that are very, classic to that time. The loading screen, changes to the map, and even just some things that have changed since that time of Fortnite that weren't even related to Christmas. Anyways, if you guys are new to the channel, please feel free to subscribe, and let's get into it. Alright, so coming in at our number 10 spot, this is going to be the Christmas Battle Bus. Now this is something that's pretty interesting to me because we've only ever seen really two major variants of the Battle Bus. This summer we had the birthday Battle Bus, we just saw the Halloween Battle Bus, but really the OG different styled Battle Bus with different music was of course the Christmas themed one. And while I gotta say, I wasn't a huge fan of the music for this Battle Bus, it is something that makes me extremely nostalgic for Season 2 of Fortnite. Ultimately though, the obvious best thing about this Battle Bus was just the bus itself, that nice Santa balloon, absolute classic, and that is our number 10 spot. Okay, now coming in at number 9, I wanted to include this on the list because I think it's something that everybody is already feeling right now, and this was like all the theories. So before Season 2 started with Fortnite, there was one giant assumption that was going through the community, and it was that the entire map was going to be covered in snow. And obviously why I'm including this on the video is the fact that every single person in the community right now over on the subreddit and even on YouTube are saying, please give us that snow update. I mean, the thing with a snow update is it is very difficult to cover the entire map in snow. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of detail, but I think something that we should consider is while we might not be getting an entire map covered in snow, I think the chances that Epic is going to drop a snow part of the map is very high. If you think about places like Pleasant Park and even much more north of that, like Junk Junction and Haunted Hills, I can easily see that just kind of getting recreated into a mountain, and then at the very bottom of that mountain is going to be like Pleasant Park and it's kind of reformed into like a ski lodge. I would not be surprised with that at all. But with that being said, this was something that everyone was talking about last year, and it's just funny to see that the conversation is still going on to this day. Anyways, moving on to our number 8 spot. This is something a little bit more specific, and it is one of my favorite weapons of all time, one of the most nostalgic weapons to me of all time, and this is the Snowball Launcher. This was this weekend. Now, the Snowball Launcher is certainly not as nostalgic as, let's say, the Pumpkin Launcher, but honestly, it's up there. The Snowball Launcher was a very unique addition to Fortnite because unlike the Pumpkin Launcher, where it didn't actually really do anything different besides rocket riding, this was something that actually changed the mechanic of the weapon. Now, for those of you that weren't around at this time, the Snowball Launcher functioned very similarly to the Egg Launcher, which was part of the Easter update. But really, I think, this was the OG version of that. I mean, really, the Egg Launcher was just a complete reskin of the Snowball Launcher, but, like I said, the Snowball Launcher is something that I think it's just very dear to everybody's hearts, and ultimately I think a lot of people are excited to see that it's probably going to return sometime around Christmas. Season 6 ends in early December, and I'm guessing that's probably the time where we're going to see this added into the game. Alright, now moving on to our number 7 spot. This was the state of building. Back in the day, okay, Fortnite obviously wasn't as it is today. Back around Christmas time even, if you were able to build a 1x1 and maybe make that a few stories high, you were basically a god. If you knew how to ramp rush someone, just doing a single ramp, not even two side by side, you were also pretty godly and honestly pretty intimidating. Season 2 was a very cool time with Fortnite because no one knew how to build well, but people were finally starting to learn how to build a little bit. What made this so great is that it was very casual, and I think this is something that a lot of people miss about OG Fortnite, is that really it used to just be a game that people played and had fun, and it wasn't so intense, it wasn't so tryhardy, and I think just as Fortnite gained popularity and people got better at the game, that's something that it lost from its original self. Anyways, moving on to our number 6 spot. In my opinion, this is one of the funniest updates that we saw with the Christmas update, and it was the bush. So the bush had obviously already been added into the game, but as you saw in the intro, all around the map, every single bush had been reskinned to have lights on it. But the thing that was so funny is not only did normal bushes obviously have this on them, but so did the actual equipable bush. And you gotta remember that the bush isn't exactly what it is today. It was something that people seriously used, especially noobs. And now I think people, it's not something I ever see being used. But back then it was something that was a lot more common. And because of that, you saw it quite often, and it was just really funny to see a lit up bush running around the map. Okay, now moving on to our number 5 spot. This is something that I think a lot of you guys are gonna miss, maybe if you remember it, or you might hate it. This is the double pump. So the double pump was a staple of Season 2, and obviously Season 2 was our Christmas time update. The double pump was nasty. If you were good with it, it was the greatest thing to ever behold. And if you were bad with it, it was the worst thing to ever be on the receiving end of. Honestly, probably even worse than the turret is today, if I'm being serious. With that being said, there is still a nostalgic feeling in my mind with that original double pump. Just the way shotguns used to play in general was really, really fun. Both pump and tac shotguns could one-shot headshot if you hit all your shots on a head, and that also added for a really interesting time. But honestly, just being able to swap back and forth and just hammer out the pump was, like I said, really a staple of Season 2. And although it isn't like specifically related, obviously, to the Christmas update, it was something that was so prevalent during this whole time. I think if you think about Christmas and that whole time during Fortnite, you can't not really think about the pump. Okay, so coming in at number 4, we have one of the bigger updates that we saw with the Christmas update, and these were the Christmas trees. All around the map in the named locations, we saw the addition of Christmas trees that actually had chests underneath them. You had these all around the map at Pleasant Park, Retail Row, Fatal Fields, even Anarchy Acres, to name a few. You had all these new additions into the game, and it was so big for Fortnite at the time, but really, to me, this was one of those things that just really stuck in my mind as being a standout addition. It was cool, it was unique, and it was very just Season 2-esque. It wasn't really a good place to drop because you're obviously out in the middle, but it was just cool, and it was very, again, true to Christmas and Season 2. Alright, so moving on to our number 3 spot, this is going to be game modes. So one of the other things that really brings me back to Christmas time in Season 2 were the addition of new LTMs. The thing with Fortnite is the only LTM we'd actually seen was 50v50. It was a huge flop. And during Christmas time, we actually saw 2 other LTMs added into the game. The first was explosives only, and as you can guess, it was absolute insanity because no one really knew how to build. Everyone was just running around with a load of like 4 RPGs and shields, and it was just utter madness. You also had the game mode Sneaky Silencers, which was not quite as good, and it was released in January, which was still part of the Christmas update, obviously. But again, it was a fun time because there was new and exciting things being added to the game, and obviously this was a big one. All right, so moving on to our number 2 spot, we have supply drops. This, in my opinion, was the pinnacle of additions to the Fortnite actual gameplay as far as Christmas updates go. Gift or present themed supply drops, it was simple and it was just so smart. I'm honestly surprised we've never seen these changed again. I really thought they might have done different things with them, but for the time, it was a small addition, but it was really cool. Obviously nothing crazy, but it was just such a nice little touch, nice aesthetic, and it is just super nostalgic to me. But, ladies and gentlemen, coming in at our number 1 spot, this is going to be the skins. Now, there's 2 actual parts to what I mean for this top 1 spot. The first are the actual skins of the game, okay? The addition of the gingerbread men, the sweater, couple. You had the Crackshot, the Red-Nosed Raider, Elf, okay, codename Elf. These were some iconic skins added into the game, and just to see an entire lobby basically running, like, 10 people in your lobby are gingerbread men or women, that was an insane thing at the time. And looking back at that, I mean, if you saw that now, you probably have an aneurysm, but back then it was just really cool and it was a really fun time. But the other thing, and this was a little bit bigger, was the Black Knight. Now, not Christmas themed, but who here is with me? Who remembers this? Okay, back with the original launch of the Battle Pass, this was around the time of the Christmas update. If you saw a Black Knight, it was scarier than any skin I think I've ever witnessed in my life. Scarier than John Wick in season 3. Scarier than seeing a Ghoul Trooper is now. Black Knight early season 2 was the OG terror skin. It was just so iconic, and just seeing a Black Knight, accepting that you're going to lose in the next 30 seconds was such a classic thing. And just in general, like, the skins of season 2 were so iconic, and I think to me those are like the biggest thing that I remember of Christmas Fortnite. Anyways, I'm really looking back on these days with rose tinted glasses, I understand, but man, I seriously do miss the old days of Fortnite, and that's kind of why I wanted to make this video. Again, if you guys could please donate to help men's health, including cancer and suicide prevention, top link in the description. When we hit 1,000, I'll shave this bad boy. And if you did enjoy the video, you're still here, subscribe, leave a like, comment what you thought, and I'll see you later. Peace. Ooh, I just had an idea for a video. This is really like casual.